Welcome to the Flore Fantasy and Sci-Fi Lore. We are still in Dune. Today we're going to be talking about a group of people called the Tleilaxu, and we're going to be talking about clones in Dune, which they refer to as Golas. So if you've seen the movie, sometimes you'll see people with the black eyes, maybe black around their mouth. These are the clones and or Golas that you will encounter. So we're going to dive into these people who secretly are developing technology and create these clones and how these clones function and some of the bigger pieces they'll play in the Dune story. So if that is what you're interested in, this is the episode for you. Roll the intro.
Do you remember the first story that was so spellbinding? It drove you to break the rules and stay up all night to keep reading, keep watching, keep playing. So good, you forgot your life and lived there.
So good. The moment it ended, you asked yourself, what next?
Welcome to the Flore. Our goal is to take you back, take you deeper, to explore and understand more, and relive that childlike wonder.
Join us as we dive deep into humanity's greatest stories, no matter how they are told, through books, movies, television, even games.
One of us does an in-depth research on the topic. One of us is familiar with the topic.
And one of us knows nothing. So the right questions will always be asked and addressed for anyone coming into the topic, regardless of how much you know.
Enjoy another world, another adventure, another spellbinding story. Join us on the Flore.
I wanted to talk about Golas. This is Dune's version of clones. So this is the clone technology in the Dune universe. I'm talking about people grown in tanks. And these come from a people called the Tleilaxu. They're a very secretive kind of people at this point in the story, and that's because they are messing around with technology. But they're also very good at genetic manipulation.
They're doing the big bad?
They're doing the big bad.
They have like calculators and other no-nos?
They got calculators and robots and computers.
What is their
They
name
make
again?
cybernetics.
Here's the thing, though, right? Like, Dune has been, almost 4,000 years since the Butlerian Jihad, right? Who would even recognize a computer now? Be like, that's just my box. Oh, what is it? Why does it make that sound? It's got a battery,
So it is very much, they are on an isolated planet, and they are making very small deals with people, right? You're only meeting a few of them when you're...
It's like the Jawas, right? You show up.
Yeah.
Just like a couple outside, be like,
You show up in your ship and like half of them are tearing your ship apart while the other half are selling to you. So when you get back to your ship, you don't have a ship anymore. So you got to go back and buy more stuff.
The Tleilaxu are also known as the Bene Tleilaxu, much like the Bene Gesserit.
So what does this Bene meaning?
It's a religious leaning.
Okay. So it's like father or brother or sister in religious organizations, right?
Like bene pasta.
Yeah, definitely the food too.
So anyways, the Bene Gesserit and have kind of paired up with these people because they're really good at genetic manipulation.
Back.
The Bene Gesserit really like these people because they're good at their genetic manipulation that they're using for their breeding program. And so they're actually like protecting these Tleilaxu and keeping their secrets because they're using them for their program, right? And so that's why they're letting this...
For all the religion and their rules and their laws, the Bene Gesserit really only believe one thing: power to us first.
Yeah, that is their goal. We want the battle.
At the end of the day, that's all that matters to them.
When we first learned about it, we learned they like make whole religions that like if you don't believe, they'll just send a messiah from the other end of the spectrum. It's still from them. So yeah, I'm glad you finally picked up on that. Took technology for Joe to understand.
So, the first clone we run into in this story is Peter D. Varys. He's the Baron's #1 man in line to take the seat of the Harkonnen Empire, at least his seat that he is over Dune and whatnot. Now, in the movie, it's this really skinny, bald guy doing like communication things for the Red Baron, running his errands. And he's the one that dies when Duke Leto bites the tooth and fills the room with poison. So this guy is what they call a twisted mantat. So this is a person who's been grown to make decisions without ethical boundaries, is how it's put in the book. Right, so basically a psychopath is what they've created. Is
intentionally be like, we need somebody to make the hard choices. Let's grow a psychopath. Be like, you got it, dude. Got it.
And no repercussions later.
He's like, this is where we make CEOs. Just print them out.
This is where we make CEOs.
Yeah. So
having what is it? In the what is it? I'm Not a Psychopath book. I can't remember. It's a book about psychopathy, and he identifies that a lot of CEOs are psychopaths, or at least on that spectrum to a degree, because it makes it easier for them to make hard decisions about people. Right? They have less attachment, and so if the company has to fire people, they're like, yeah, okay, dude, like it doesn't faze them. And they can make decisions that really grow a company well because they just see people are a resource, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to have those emotional hangups, right? Whereas for someone who isn't on that spectrum, it's hard and it's rough on you, and it can make your job super stressful in a job that's already very stressful. Whereas if you have someone on that spectrum, they're not stressed out by that. They're like, it's just something we have to do to survive. This is what we do.
So CEOs would do pretty well in the cyberpunk universe.
In the cyberpunk.
They do.
They do.
Well, until they get knocked off by other CEOs.
Yeah.
And fighting a jungle full of tigers.
But they do good for that week or two, they're CEOs.
No, CEOs are super hard to kill, man. If you don't go dead 10 on a CEO, he's coming back.
Like Super Saiyan.
All right. Anyways, back to Dune.
Back to Dune.
Well, dude, Cyberpunk is Dune now because there's people with technology. What's talking about Dune the whole time?
The Tleilaxu planet doesn't quite feel like cyberpunk. It's a very strange culture. We'll say that right now.
Okay.
But I want to talk about this technology that they have. So Pitter is our first clone that we run into. And then we also saw a couple other people who were pouring the liquid into the bath that the Baron is
black sludge.
Yeah, black sludge. And they had black eyes. And they're black metallic eyes specifically. These would have been early versions of clones before they had the eyes done right. And their clones were being born blind. And so they replaced them with cybernetic eyes.
So that's a piece of paper and like there's blurry lines on it.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
But instead of blurry lines, they just had blurry eyes.
Formation, the technology was still catching up at this point.
Okay.
So those are two early versions that we'll see, and then I'll talk about where Golas really go in Dune here. Now, something about the Tleilaxu is it's an all-male species. We don't see any females. No one is running into females when they're interacting with them ever.
So they're dwarves. Got it.
Dwarves.
I understand.
Now, what the Tleilaxu have done is they have taken all of the females and turned them into what they call axolotl tanks. This is a kind of biomechanical womb that they use to produce babies, right? So this is like they've converted their entire society to we just grow our people now. We're no longer doing this birthing process. Everyone's just grown, and they've turned all their females into just growing tanks.
It just sounds like the most romantic pickup line ever. It's like, I just want to turn you into my axolotl tank.
Well, Frank Herbert has kind of done this thing of like the Tleilaxu and the Bene Gesserit are kind of like the male and the female operations, and that's like kind of why they get along how they do. because one's an all-female organization, one's an all-male organization, and they have this business with each other. So that's part of what's going on in the story. Are you getting lost, Aaron?
I didn't know that all female organizations and all male organizations got along. Because like in the DC universe, the Amazonians
Poetry
not
again
work with guys ever. So like it, I mean, yeah, that makes sense in theory. You know, paper, like communist
Paper.
Well, so one of these functions of cloning that people do during this time period is when somebody has lost a loved one and they're having a hard one with hard time with their grief, they would have them cloned, but they didn't have any of their past memories, right? You're just growing this new person, and it didn't really satisfy people's grief in a way.
Oh, I saw a trailer. I didn't see the movie. A trailer for this, and where they like, if your spouse died, I don't remember if it was a clone or an android that looked just like them, and then would like slowly break up with you and leave you to help you get through the grieving process.
Oh, man.
So, like I said, I didn't see it, but I did see a trailer for it. I was like, I didn't know they got that from Dune. I mean, it's just constantly there. Oh, that comes from Dune.
Yeah, it's like a 50% chance anything. It's like shopping at the supermarket. You're like, oh, pasteurized milk, dude.
Yeah, they were pasteurizing milk before Dune.
Yeah, but it's because of Dune.
Not by much.
It.
Before, just kidding.
That was something they were doing at this time, but they were theorizing that you could bring back somebody's memories from their past life, right? And they were just working on this. They didn't know how to quite do it yet.
Talked about this earlier, how you could tap into your ancestors' memories.
That's for the Bene Gesserit, though. Women only.
In the Dune universe.
Yes,
So it's an idea.
genetic memory is where this theory comes from. They have this theory of like, oh, you're able to access your ancestors' things. What if that could be applied to clones?
Sup, Joe?
That is definitely part of it. One day later, Paul is given Duncan, Idaho as a clone, as a gift. And now they rename him as Hayat, or Hayt, Hayt, Hayt. And he was basically, Hayt, Hayt.
Hate. I didn't hear you pronounce the T. Like, hate. His name is Hate. From it loves a lot of things.
Probably going to love a lot of things.
Well,
Just wants to be a real boy.
He was grown and programmed to assassinate Paul. And so like this is something they like embedded deep inside of him, and then gave him as gifts. Very Trojan horse-esque, right?
Very Trojan horse.
Now
Here's this gift. We call it hate.
Paul just looks at it and be like, oh yeah, that's not a Trojan horse at all. Real guy, like he had all these scientists put all this tech and bioengineering into recreating him, and then you name him Hate. Who's in your naming department? I mean, those people need to be fired.
Or is an acronym?
So, anyways, Duncan, Idaho, he can kind of remember things like from like smells. He'll get like feelings of memories. So he's already like almost kind of sensitive at this time. And then when it comes down to him attempting to murder Paul, he has like a mental breakdown and he remembers his past life. But it is like he has a mental breakdown is what happens. And so after this, they've discovered that they can awaken the memories in clones from their past lives and their past clone lives. But it does require psychological trauma on the person.
Oh, I hate that.
This is not an easy process to do. But this does set Duncan, Idaho on a 5,000-year life of him dying, coming back as a clone, traumatize him again, and he can remember his past lives.
That would be a really cool.
So by year 5,000, he's like the ultimate warrior. Like, this man knows how to fight.
So, like, at first the technology is he remembers his first life. And only later on does he start to remember all of the clones.
How does that domino effect work? Is it like the first life, then 3 more lives, he remembers another life, and then, or is it like one of those lives he remembers like 9?
You don't have to ask.
You mean hate?
You mean hate.
So after that life, he goes, after remembering who he is, he goes back to be Duncan, right? That's what he is named as. And I brought up Aaliyah. Remember that crazy psychic? So that first clone of him ends up marrying her.
Aaliyah is Paul's sister.
Yep.
That crazy.
So Duncan Idaho's first clone marries Paul's sister.
Hate. Duncan Idaho's first clone is hate.
Right.
And all the ones after that are probably like other emotions, but
But no, after he remembers being Duncan Idaho, he goes back to being Duncan Idaho. Hate is just that consciousness that was kind of like created to go kill Paul. But once that breaks, he's
I
not
don't hate Paul anymore. And he's like,
Yeah.
That's easy to remember. So he no longer hates the Mouse Deep. You said they had a bunch of cool technology. All I heard about was auxiliary tanks.
Axolotl tanks is where they grow their clones. But
Are those? Do those still have memories at all? Like, are they even sort of human? Because they were originally the females.
well, much later on, there's going to be some people who come in and re-give them consciousness. But at this point in time, they don't have consciousness.
Okay.
They're
So they're in
basically
stasis.
an organic machine.
What do they
without
look
thought.
like? I'm thinking like a Doc Ock kind of octopus tank.
Um,
Girl
So-
laying in a bed.
so it's,
Girl laying in a bed. That's really easy.
there's plenty of like artist renditions and whatnot. But like as you're walking around looking at these tanks, you wouldn't guess that they were human or at all. And
So
Yeah.
not girl laying in it.
like I've seen a lot of like kind of H.R. Giger looking depictions of these where it's like a giant tank and then like in the darkness up above you can see the human form, you know. And then
Yeah,
you can
I
kinda
can see
the
that.
human form, but it's so mixed in with other, you know. Yeah.
And the
then,
giant
like,
tank is like attached
just
kind of in the
obscure.
womb area a little bit.
I don't know. I think it's just a girl laying in a bed and with like a feeding tube and an air thing, and they just lay there and just like birth children. They're not even aware it's happening, right? He's like, "That's an axolotl thing." Be like, "That's a girl." Be like, "No,
No,
it's
that's
not
technology, dude. You don't even know.
technology, not female technology."
Yeah, you guys don't know what technology is, so you don't get it.
But essentially what they're unlocking with this technology is immortal life, right?
Right.
It's,
So their technology is like almost cyber. What is cyborg? So it's like hybriding a lot of their technology with humans. Because you got clones, you've got the axolotl tanks, you've got
Cybernetic eyes.
cybernetic eyes, which was in the clones. So like a lot of this I don't think I've heard of any technology that wasn't somehow related to organic matter.
right. What's your question?
It sounds like that their technology is heavily based in, like you said, that living forever, or like just the essence of binding technology with organic matter.
Right. Well, so they also create those twisted mantats, right? People like a mantat, but who has no ethical boundaries.
Still human. Yep.
Can
Organic
and
life.
then they also make face dancers. These are like doppelgangers.
Right.
That's
The one we promised an episode on face dancers. I forgot to write that down.
Doppelgangers. Okay. Sounds like organic life again.
as well.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's their specialty. I was thinking like guns and things, but like
Oh,
What happened in Dune is just useless.
Yeah, I was thinking technological guns, like a rail gun.
Yeah, they're called las guns.
So what's the first gun?
Regular gun.
Okay. So they have last
Ballistic. Yeah. That's the first gun. Regular gun.
Well, you said last gun.
No. So they have these. A ballistic won't penetrate a shield, the Holtzman shield, and a las gun will create a nuclear detonation and get you banned from the universe. Remember?
Oh yeah, I remember the ban from the universe, but like the universe is everything, so you're banned from everywhere. But they don't kill you.
Yeah.
Like, it's still around.
No. They might kill you.
They can kill you.
No, but I'm just saying. No, now what I mean is, if you're banned from the universe, you're not killed. You're just not allowed to do anything anywhere.
I don't know. They enslave and kill them all the time. Be like, oh, you're banned from the universe. You don't count as a person anymore.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
do that.
anyone who wanted you dead for any reason can just come and kill you.
He cut me off.
Hey, maybe when you fired me from McDonald's, it'd be like, yeah. He's like, I heard you're banned from the universe. Be like, that's a lie. That's not true. The guy's just like, I got a shovel. Says you're wrong.
I got a shovel
from
and
the
actually
universe.
says it repeatedly. You're wrong. You're wrong. Sorry about that.
So, last few thing about Golas is to be a true Gola is after somebody dies, you get cloned from their dead body, right? Like they take material from your dead body, and you'll have your full memory.
Right.
Until
Yeah.
you're dead.
You have to get it from the recent dead, because like I imagine at some point, maybe this even coming in the books, but like if this had really played out, they probably took genetic material from the original Duncan Idaho a few times, and then he wasn't getting those clone memories because they were using original Duncan. And it's like, no, you got to use later Duncan. Original Duncan is no good.
Fine. Well, you gotta let age. Could you?
No.
So what would that? I'm gonna ask these questions in the treasure room because I got some good ones.
All right. So let's get this treasure room question. Hit us.
So this is a really cool idea. Eventually, you can have somebody who can remember for thousands of years, pass on their memories. But this begs the question of when you do this, that, you have the clone born, traumatize them, where he awakens these memories. Are you destroying a consciousness by downloading your memories into this new body? Or are you just simply remembering? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you killing? It's like, are you growing a mushroom on a plant to kill the other plant? Yeah. So my
Want to answer this?
In the treasure
room.
I have answers.
It's like, I have answers. Sorry. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. We have mentioned in the past that if you go to the Patreon page, we have collections of all the different worlds and pieces of lore we have covered. For example, if you want everything we have ever done about Baldur's Gate, from the invention of D&D to Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that, you can find individual collections for all of those, or just one big collection containing all of Baldur's Gate or all of D&D. So everything we have covered, Eberron, Marvel, DC, Aliens, Zooniverse, Cyberpunk, Dune, and more. We have collections for each of those worlds. And I do want to mention that on the Patreon, the only thing behind the subscription is the treasure room content. Anything that has been released in the podcast for free is still free there. It is just a better organization of the information that the podcast app doesn't let us do. They are just a big list, and you just got to type in your search words. On the Patreon, there are tags for everything. You got fantasy, D&D, creature features, Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance, all of that. Just an individual tag for those episodes. And as I said, we do have collections just to make this as easy as possible to find what you're looking for. We have learned in the past that a lot of people who listen to The Flore, they're interested in one or two of the worlds, and they may check out one or two of the episodes when we switch worlds, but they're really just mostly interested in that. So we just want to consolidate everything you're looking for to make it just as easy as possible to access. So check that out just to make your life easier. And we are working at making sure you can download any of the free episodes there. So even if you're going to lose Wi-Fi or connection, you can get the episodes you want before that happens, or just not burn your data while you're traveling to and from work or whatever else is you do while you listen. And thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy the show.